In studio, and we still have a few more questions, and I'd like to take the time to be able to just throw those at Chief. In studio is Chief Mark Williams from the Utica Police Department. Jeff, you had some questions on the legalities of what can and cannot be talked about.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask as well the text messages. How many text messages did you get? When did you get them? Was there any deception? Did you feel in the messages that you got, that you were given from Ambrose?
We got the text messages the very first day that the mayor received them, and we got a total of 19 pages. When we interviewed the fireman whose son was involved in this, later on, I think it was maybe a week or two afterwards, we received a thumb drive with 49 pages of text messages. When we compared it to, there's no. We felt there was nothing deceptive as far as the release of the text messages. I think he just gave what was pertinent to the case. Mm-hmm. But for our investigation, it was important that we had the full context of the conversation between the fire chief and his son.
And those dated through this year, right? I mean, to the beginning of this year?
I think the last dated one, it started sometime in 2015, and it ended in November of 2017. However, it looks like a snapshot was taken of one text message. It looked like it came from 2018, but it was actually 2017 November.
Okay.
We had, though, I think on the export that we had, there's a whole other list of text messages that happened leading up until March of 2018, and I'll pull those up. Maybe Andrew, you could pull them up here. Or you could pull them out of my bag. I have them printed in my bag if you want it. I wanted to ask, based on the text messages, if this kid was underage, do you feel it would have, at the very least, tweaked your interest as showing a pattern of a quote-unquote predator? I know that's a big question.
Yeah, if the person was underage, it possibly could change the situation from difference between two consenting adults to maybe someone being a predator and maybe a criminal incident.
I have,
but that's not what happened here.
No,
I understand.
Nope.
I understand. However, you're still dealing with a 40-some-odd-year. How old is Kelly?
I don't know.
40-some-odd years old, and a 23 to 26-year-old. You're dealing with someone in a position of power versus someone in a position that is not in power and really wants a job. What we have been told, more so than anything else in the world,
right? Wants
a job as a firefighter. It is that same Me Too movement that has been going on throughout the country that we're talking about that in most cases are not criminal cases. These are above-age adults who are put in a position with someone in a position of power that has been deemed certainly it's been inappropriate. This mirrors that, don't you think? How does this not mirror that, and how does it warrant allowing someone to keep their job? And is it just the fact that this 50A, these rules and regulations that protect firefighters and police officers and other public servants, if this person worked in any other company, in any business, certainly if he worked here, if he worked at any other business, this guy would be fired. How can we look at ourselves in the mirror and then look at the taxpayers of Utica and say, well, it wasn't criminal, so he'll continue on. And, oh, by the way, he's going to have to work with the kid's father. They're both deputy chiefs. Talk about a toxic work environment. What are we doing here?
I think one of the problems is that, I don't know if it's a problem, but when it comes to police and fire employees, they're not at-will employees. So I know from my own standpoint, there's been misconduct when I wanted to terminate employees. And the final decision is not mine.
Yeah.
It goes to an arbitrator. And what we find with these arbitrators that the decisions they make tend to be middle of the road. They try to appease both sides.
Right.
They'll find the employee guilty of of all the misconduct you listed, but they'll let him keep his job. So I don't know if that was part of the mindset that the mayor or corporation council looked at when they were thinking about discipline, but I'm sure it was part. It had to be a consideration.
So you're saying that if you were in this position, the decision might be, I would fire you. However, your hands might be tied based on the law.
Just based on experience in these arbitrary decisions, I'm seeing a lot of times where they're allowing the employee to keep their job, but find him guilty of the misconduct.
Was there a text message that Ambrose had pointed out that I think goes back into November of 2017, at a time when the text messages led us to believe that Kelly was asking the young Ambrose kid to show up at his house? Do you recall that text message?
Yes.
And it was to show up and watch porn. And the young kid claims that when he arrived, and this we're getting secondhand through the father, that when he arrived, Kelly was in the basement, and there were text messages that said, come in through the side and what have you. That Kelly was in the basement, his uniform was on, he had his shirt undone, and they watched porn. And Ambrose claims that there are employee records that state that that Kelly was on duty as deputy chief at that time. Is that accurate?
Just my memory of it, I remember him being on duty. There was text messages telling the fireman's son to go to his house.
Yep.
As far as the actions, I'd have to read the investigative report. I don't remember.
Okay.
All
Right.
Yeah.
But there is a text message that leads people to believe that that's what happened.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have more? Because I'm just getting started all of a sudden. Okay. So based on your investigation, would you say that you have proven that that porn, sex games, without getting into them, inappropriate activity, would you say that your conclusion was that those inappropriate actions never occurred in the firehouse?
Just remembering the details of the investigative report, I think porn was something that was proven. As far as the sex games or sex acts, we could not prove that.
Okay. Yeah. But it became a he said versus he said. Did the young Ambrose kid, because we've been told that that's what he said happened. Sword fighting, for instance.
Again, I'd have to refer to the report, but I'm pretty sure that he did not confirm seeing any sword fights.
Have you ever heard of sword fighting prior to this?
I had asked my investigators. That's something I engage in.
Yeah, I never either. Nope. I have in front of me, I don't know, 15 pages, 10 pages, maybe fewer, text messages that this is an export, we're told, an export directly from the phone of the young Ambrose. And these are messages that are dated, this one is dated 12/30/2017, 1/4/2018. Several messages on the 4th, 2018. On the 6th, 2018 of January. On the 19th, 2018. And all the way up to March 3rd of 2018. Do you have these?
My understanding, the ones we have are from 2015. The last one was November 2017.
Because when the 16 points came out from the mayor's office, they made no reference to these text messages. These text messages seem to show an odd occurrence where when John Kelly was on duty as fire chief, there seems to be a lapse. And that was a 7 to 7 job. So it's a day job. You're around a lot of people. But when he would fill in as deputy chief, it would be something that he would reference in the text messages. Did you read any of those from 2017?
We had text messages, referencing when people weren't in the firehouse.
Right, showing that pattern. Come here now because no one's here. Or be careful when you come now. Hide what you have. So you read those.
We read those. The only thing that I'm concerned about is we asked the firefighter and his son if they had any other information or they withholding any, and we only have the text messages right up to November 2017.
Right.
So I may not have
these.
I may not have the ones you're referencing.
All right. And he had told us, Ambrose had told us that he supplied the mayor's office with those afterwards, that I think they had gone and gotten an export. Prior to that, they were using things like this that were more of it was like copy and paste type items, right? And that, I'm assuming that's what you saw in the beginning.
Right. I don't know if the mayor ever got the full
export.
I know we did. We thought we did the 49 pages. And
the one thing that comes out of this, the stuff in 2018, he was about to take his CPAT. Do you know what that is? That is
vaguely. I think it's some type of physical fitness
for
test
firefighters. Yeah. That you actually have to take you have to pass that before you can go to the next step, and actually to be a candidate, you have to pass that physical fitness test.
Probably no different than our physical fitness test.
I'm sure. Yeah. But one of the things here that seems inappropriate is here Kelly is almost, it seems, coaching him. You around today? You're ready for Saturday, which is the CPAT. I have the CPAT on Saturday. Yeah, I know. You're ready for the CPAT? ? Oh, yeah, I hope so. Good. I'll be there. Maybe a quick movie after that. I've been training with Steve the past few weeks, so I hope I'm ready. As long as I pass, LOL. It's kind of hard to say that he wasn't in some way coaching the kid to become a firefighter. Maybe you'd have to take a leap to say he was. It doesn't seem like there was ever a promise where he said, "I'm going to make sure you become a firefighter," and that would certainly elevate the issue. But doesn't this kind of lead that he's at the very least there to support him? He's going to be there when he takes the test, which would lead us to believe that here's a guy that's assisting a young recruit to become a firefighter. And just the mere existence of this relationship would seem inappropriate between two people, one in power, one not in power.
And people certainly could draw that inference, and I know that's addressed in the investigative findings of our professional standards.
And I think that is all that I have. So just to wrap it up, while some might say none of this ever happened, you really didn't come to that conclusion. The conclusion you came to was we couldn't prove that it did or did not happen.
That's correct.
So that'd be fair to say.
Yes.
Anybody else have anything else? You think I've gotten every last drop of anything that I could get out of this?
The only thing I'm going to ask Richard, I'd like to see those other text messages. Maybe have a copy because I just want to compare to what we have.
Can you make a copy of that packet? That is, and I'm told that is an export from the kid's phone.
And we may already have that. Sometimes the timestamps of some of this can be confusing. So
this is in a much better format than the original. The first thing we saw seemed to be screenshots of the phone, and they were all pasted together. And I sometimes worry when we get stuff like that because it's picking and choosing.
Right.
You get to pick and choose. This seems to be an export, and what I was told by Ambrose, they used a software which any text message between the two was just exported into a PDF. And I have that PDF file, too, which really Ambrose should supply that to you.
Bill, was the PDF that you have in those text messages we just spoke about, were they included on your website, the 49 pages?
Yes. Yeah.
And we had those then.
So there's two files. There's file 1 and file 2. So, and that was the issue. That
two?
There are two files. So one of the things that, based on the 16 points that the mayor put out, I feel almost as if the messages that the mayor had are file 1 and not file 2.
What I'll do is when I get back, I'll have our professional standards go through these other text messages because not being intimately involved in the investigation, I can't say now if they are or were addressing their current investigation.
And my final question would be,
sure.
We've been criticized for covering the story. We need to leave stuff like this alone. Do you agree that if there's activity like this going on, and these are taxpayer-funded positions, that the public deserves the right to know this?
We're public employees, and we're going to be under scrutiny. So if you're not going to cover it, I'm sure some other news media is going to.
All right. I appreciate you taking the time.
You're welcome.
And I know this is hopefully the last one we have to deal with at the fire department. I do feel for those guys over there and women.
Yeah.
This has been a rough 6 months for these guys and women.
It has. And like I said, they do a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate this happened.
All right, Chief, thanks so much.
Yep, thank you.
We'll break and come back.